어려운 나스에 하련 너너에 떨어지 그댄 오르가 된
One of the reasons we're here today is to try to develop some sense of you looking back at courses you've taken already at Fairfield, whether some of these questions have already been raised in the classes that you've had or not. And if they're not, I'd like to hear that too. We're trying to see where we are at the university.
We all come to questions of humanitarianism from some deep part in our own soul about human suffering and reaching out to others and being in solidarity with others. And I think this also is such a richness of the Jesuit tradition that we share collectively around those questions too. So I'm really looking forward to hearing how you relate to this topic, this challenge we have before us, and looking forward to developing this project for the next 3 years. It's a great challenge for us and an opportunity, and we'll reach out with UCA in Nicaragua and Georgetown, and I think it's going to be a very, very rewarding experience to collaborate internationally as well as within the U.S. and other Jesuit institutions. So you guys are really part of our inspiration, the wellspring from which this project is going to emerge. So we look forward to hearing your insights and learning from your perspectives and concerns.
We've grown up in a system that is based off of cognitive studies, cognitive education, where it's about the information. The SATs, it doesn't ask you to question anything. It's make sure you get over 600 to get into the school.
Yeah.
And that's just such a definitive number. It's we're not used to. We're not in a system where we're influenced by higher questions.
My professor had us writing reflections, and that was at first really hard for me because I was ready to do concrete. I was doing definitions in my reflection, and he was like, "No, I want to hear more from your perspective and what you think." And that was just really different. I was like, "What do you mean? This is the definition?" But he wanted my interpretation. Yeah, and that was just so it threw me off. But I can appreciate that so much more now, and I really think that the residential colleges help to bring that full circle, and also the mentor groups, they're rooms for discussion.
So I think people are very interested in those questions. You just have to kind of push them and give them the resources to talk about it. So I'm an RA in Jogues, and last night I had a discussion on what is the good life as a program, and some of the residents were really interested in it. And I was just really happy to see that and kind of see a very different side of them compared to a Friday night where I don't think they're discussing justice. So it sounds silly, but speaking about things like that can be fun and engaging, but you have to have the background and the tools to have a meaningful conversation, I think, about it. And not a lot of people are willing to put in that work to have the tools to speak about it in a meaningful way.
Whether you're mechanical or electrical or civil or automated, there are two main questions that we ask ourselves. One being, how do we create a product? And the second being, how do we make that product more efficient? So coming from freshman year, these are the two things you try to tackle. You know, they teach you all the techniques behind it. You know, the reasoning behind it, how you create it. You know, the math involved, the physics involved, and the forces, all that. But I guess when I enrolled into the engineering ethics class, that's when I started, you know, asking myself questions like, you know, why do we create these products, and you know, who are we creating them from? How can we make them better for the end users?
I think Fairfield does an amazing job at integrating obviously they teach us the technical stuff of how to actually physically care for a person, but talking to nursing majors at other schools that I know, they're nowhere near on par with Fairfield as teaching you the spiritual care that a person needs. Fairfield is huge on promoting the holistic care of, you know, this person might be sick, but there might be nothing you can do for them to make them better except for caring for their spiritual needs, regardless of what they might be, you know, whether or not you agree with them. How do you care for that person and make them better as a whole person and get them to where they need to be spiritually? And I think that Fairfield does a really great job at that.
Those are like the questions as a business student, is how do you go about doing a business with people knowing the fact that first you're there to you want to sell your product, but at the same time you want to understand like the cultures and the conditions of the people within the environment you are. So it's not just like you just making the business, but at the same time gaining something out of it, but being able to give back wherever whatever field you're in doing business, or what countries you're in doing business. And one interesting aspect of that, like throughout the years, I feel like coming to Fairfield, I kind of get like that sense of that, where you are being taught how to think for yourself, how to question these meanings of life, and how to find who you are as a person within the environment you are, and then just being able to apply whatever you learn in class in your personal life and keep seeking. And the questions like who I am as a person, or trying to figure out, that's like a lifelong question that you're gonna keep facing. Like every stage in your life changes.
Last Christmas, myself and Julie were fortunate enough to go on a service trip to Nicaragua. We actually visited the UCA. And you know, the main question I was able to answer for myself was, you know, who am I called to be? And as much as it was a service trip, it was more of an immersion trip for me, you know.
I know what has helped for me was the service learning class that I took. That component of a course is so key, and I didn't realize it until I actually took a course myself. I took International Operations of Nonprofits with Dr. Coley, and I was able to just intern for Montage Initiative, nonprofit, and I went with them to the UN to a conference, just starting off kind of exposure to that kind of field or whatever. And a year later, I was speaking at that conference, which I thought was amazing. So that class was like such a key class for my life. So I think the service learning components is something that Fairfield has that's incredible, and other schools I definitely think should adopt.